Hello everyone and welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're doing good and well. So it's time for the first of two album reviews this Saturday. And the first album I'm talking about here is the fourth studio outing from the rock band Wolf Alice. And this is their release titled The Clearing, which came out yesterday on the 22nd of August via RCA Records. And the album is 11 tracks and 40 minutes in length. And I, for one, really enjoyed their previous album, which was titled Blue Weekend, that came out in 2021. I thought that was a great album. That one really took them in a slightly newer direction, in the sense it was a really epic sounding album with big production value. I thought like they really upped the ante in terms of making themselves sound bigger than they did on the previous two albums, I thought, with a really polished sound. This album, interestingly, I still feel like it's very polished, but there's not as many for me as of those sort of musical enhancements here. It's more songwriting focused than focused. I almost feel like on Ellie's, a lot of Ellie's singing, and it's kind of much more for me focused on those almost raw songwriting elements than prior albums, which have maybe been a little bit more shoegazy and not effects driven, but they've had a little bit more in that sense of enhancements to their sound that I feel like this is more going back to a 70s type style. I wouldn't say completely stripped back, but somewhat more stripped back than previous Wolf Alice outings that we've had. And I have to say, I've really thoroughly enjoyed this. It's different, yes. It's manoeuvring them somewhere else once again, but in a way which I think still doesn't do the band any harm. I mean, in fact, it's for some people, this will be, I think, maybe even an improvement, because they're really showing off that they can write great songs here. As well as do some really fantastic music too. So they're sort of bringing in something a little different, but not losing their strengths as such, I think. And that's something that I think for a lot of bands would probably struggle to pull off. But Wolf Alice, I think, being very accomplished musicians, being who they are, I think they've managed to do this record. And yeah, it's interesting. It's called The Clearing. And apparently, I think that's to do with the band feeling like they're in a clearer headspace and able to do more of the sort of thing they want to do, maybe. But I'm not 100% sure on that. So do tell me in the comments a bit more about the album title, The Clearing, if you know much more about that and the name of the album. So let's move on to talk a little bit more about the songs themselves on this record. I have a few select songs that I'd like to just mention and talk a little bit about. The first song, Thorns, I find interesting as an opening track, because for me, I like this song. I like it quite a lot. But as the first track on the album, it didn't really leave the lasting impression. And for my opening songs, for a lot of album openers, I like that song to really make an impression. So you're like, I'm with this album straight away, and I now want to listen to the rest of it. That first song didn't really do that for me so much, despite it being a brilliantly performed song and all those other things. It didn't quite do that for me. Bloom Baby Bloom was the lead single. It's another song I want to talk about here. Great song, really great vocal gymnastics from singer Ellie Ralsall here. I thought, a tremendous track, and I can see why they maybe picked that one out as a lead single. Really great song. Just Two Girls reminded me a lot of a 70s song that I'd maybe heard before, but I just couldn't place what that song was, but I thought it was really good. Nice arrangements in this song. I like the sort of nimbly executed violin part by Joff Oddie in this song as well. I thought that was great. I think it's Joff Oddie that does the violin anyway in this band. So yeah, really good song there. Leaning Against the Wall, I feel like was this record's epic moment for me, particularly that crescendo towards the end of the song. And I feel like with Blue Weekend, you had some really epic moments in that record that were things that really pulled me back to the album. For me, I feel like this Leaning Against the Wall song is going to be one of those hooky moments that brings me back to the record, and it's good to have at least a handful of those to make sure you want to listen to the album again. And I do love that line, I think, because doesn't anybody love you more than I do? It's the way that Ellie sings that bit, I think, in the song is quite special. And I also wanted to mention the last song on this one, which is called White Horses, which is a bit more of an up-tempo, upbeat type of song, very memorable. And I think I like the placement of this track, whereas I didn't like the placement of the opening song. I think the last track is nicely placed, because it's the kind of song that stays with you afterwards. It being the last song, you have that recency effect, so it kind of stays in your head afterwards, and I like that about this last song on the album. So overall, I really enjoyed this album, whilst I have a tendency to enjoy shoegazier and dream poppier type music and past albums, I think, from Wolf Alice that lean a little bit more in that direction. I still really enjoyed this and respect what it did. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. I think as a Wolf Alice fans, If you don't mind the change in direction, you probably love this. But yeah, I think it's a great album, and yeah, I respect what they've done here and the way they've done it. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for Wolf Alice and The Clearing. Let me know what you guys thought about this album in the comments. Otherwise, until the next one, which is this is a huge release if you're a rock or metal fan, Deftones, with their release, of course, Private Music. Going to be talking about that very shortly. So do join me for that one. Otherwise, yeah, let me know what you thought about the Wolf Alice record. And until next time on the channel, it is bye for now.